Hi, I'm Christina.
I'm Maya from
From
Bookworm
Bookworm
Dreams, and welcome to a new video. So we are doing a tag. We are doing the Netflix tag, which was created many years ago by A Darker Shade of Whitney. We will leave her original video down below in the description box so you can check it out yourself. And now let's go through the questions.
Okay.
All right, first question.
Recently watched the last book you finished reading.
For me, that was Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. This is book 2 in the First Law series, in which we follow several very flawed characters go on an adventure to do stuff. Since it's second in the series, you can't really say much, but it's grimdark. It is grimdark. It's totally, there are scenes that shocked me, that I was like, there were scenes that made me very happy when people were doing very violent things. Yeah, it's really it's fun for me, who reads lots of fantasy and you know, says that I always say I like grimdark, but I haven't actually read much other than Game of Thrones and whatnot.
Okay.
Reading this, which is sort of lauded as the grimdark, like, you know, Bible and whatnot. It's fun.
Okay,
all right, so what was the last thing you read?
I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I read it on audiobook and I absolutely loved it.
Good.
So this is the story of Linus Baker, who goes to this island where there's a house with magical children, like, and they're all sorts. Like, I can't even like describe to you how many there are.
The Blob. I love the Blob.
The Blob, yes. And basically he comes there as a caseworker to see if the master of the orphanage
right,
kind of is good to the children and takes care of them. And it was literally, I heard so many people say it's wholesome.
It is wholesome.
And like just a drop of happiness in all of this world. And truly, like, it really is. It's such a gorgeous story, just like about just that people are people. Like, it doesn't matter if you have magical abilities, if you don't. It's like how you act, how you treat other people. And it just like, it was like, there have been like lately so many bad news on the news and everything, and this was just like such, like, just a joy to read. Just like, it lifts you up, like it literally lifts up your spirit. And I was just like, yeah,
that's great. All right, next question.
Top picks, a book or books that have been recommended to you based on a book you have previously read.
So since I don't remember stuff that people recommend me, I went to check out what Goodreads usually recommends me, and it's usually something by John Gwynne, so like Malice and whatnot. And basically he writes humongous fantasy books, which are apparently quick reads because the chapters are very short. So when at some point I start reading him, I'm like hanging on to these chapters so that it will go quickly. And most of his fantasy is sort of Norse inspired, and yeah.
Okay, now I get the covers.
Yeah, the covers have those like, there's a hammer, there's a weapon, there's different types of axes and stuff. Yeah, but the author himself looks like a freaking Viking.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I never.
I think I'm not sure if he's bald, but he has like a humongous beard, and he's like sitting on a chair with his giant dogs and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I picked one of Maya's recommendations, and that is The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch. I still have not read this, unfortunately, although I also have the second book here because she lended it to me. But yeah, I read, what did we read? Six of Crows.
Yes.
And she recommended this as like kind of an adult
version of Six of Crows.
Yes, with a lot of swear words.
Yes.
So I really intend to read this, but at the same time it's a bit intimidating because like I have expectations and that's never good, I guess.
Okay.
So yes. Recently added, the last book you bought.
All right, so the last book I bought was Yours Insatiably by Aveda Weiss, because I really wanted to read it. You remember how I read Feed? It's like a short story between two monsters and a romance. And then the full-length novel of those two characters came out, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy it. So I bought it on my Kobo reader, and I started it and then I stopped because I wasn't in the mood for it.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't concentrating on what was happening. I was just like, okay, like, no. So I put it aside. I'm going to read it at some point. But yeah, that was the last one. So basically, it's a paranormal romance with both of the characters are some kind of, not monster, but some kind of supernatural creature. So it's called monster romance, and it's a hate to love
Okay.
trope, and they are really good together, but they can't be together because our female main character is a succubus, and she doesn't want, and
Oh,
she
okay.
works with the male. Actually has different, so he's non-binary. They have different pronouns, and they she doesn't want their relationship to be inside the office because it's a very
Oh.
antagonistic, and she basically she has certain kinks that she doesn't want to be she doesn't want them to be exploited and whatnot. So in the full length novel, she basically wants them to show her like there are certain clubs for people like her, so she can find like a partner and whatnot. But
Oh,
I'm
okay.
hoping that at the end they'll end up together, but
Together,
we'll
yeah.
see what happens.
Okay. So, oh, what? Oh, yeah. I actually had difficulty remembering
What was the last thing
because
you bought?
yes,
Yeah.
because I haven't bought a book in a really long time, and then I actually went to my Amazon like shop and looked at the digital orders because I remember I bought a couple of things on my Kindle. And so the last thing I actually bought was the Amazon Black Stars collection. So this is basically, I think, six short stories. There's a short story collection with 6 stories by Black authors.
Okay.
I think it is kind of sci-fi-ish, but like I'm not 100% sure. But it's just like I bought another one before that just because it just has like a wide range of authors, so you can kind of feel out if you like the writing style or something, and it's short, so like so yeah, that's what I bought. Okay, I'll just
Okay.
popular on Netflix books that everyone knows about, 2 you've read and 2 you have not read or have no interest in reading.
All right, so the 2 I have read that's very popular is first one, Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. It's really awesome. Just if you haven't read it, listen to the audiobook because it's awesome. It's a love story between Chloe and Redford, and it's like it's not a hate to love, but it's like
No.
they have a bumpy beginning
Yeah.
of their like
Relationship.
but yeah, it's really awesome. And the second one is Saga. So I read this. Everyone's been talking about this for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have thoughts, but whatever. I've read it. The 2 pop that I have no interest in reading. So basically, I added Becky Chamber to this because I started the long way
right.
to whatever.
Small angry
Right.
planet.
I DNF'd it halfway because I was bored, and I am not going to. I think it's time for me to come to terms with. I'm not going to read anything by Neil Gaiman anymore because it's like it's not.
Well, it's not for you. That's
It's
fine.
not for me. I mean, I've read. I have the Graveyard Book, which I like. But I had to read American Gods and Anansi Boys for book clubs, and it was like, dude,
Yeah, you didn't
I
like
did not
them,
like it.
yeah.
And I read his short story collections, and I read Ocean at the End of the Lane. I like that one. That one was okay. And one thing I haven't read Coraline, but like anything newer that he's going to write, I'm not gonna get to it. So yeah.
Okay.
What about you? 2 popular books that you have read?
Okay, 2 popular books I have read. The Brown Sisters trilogy.
Yeah.
And the second one I chose is Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you could have brought the book.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry.
All right.
But anyways, Maya already told you what the Get a Life Chloe Brown was.
Yeah.
And Project Hail Mary is like the 3rd book by Andy Weir. It's again in space. It's about a guy who wakes up on a ship, and he has to kind of find his way home and remember what the hell he's actually doing there because he has amnesia. And it is at least for me, it was interesting, genius, 5 stars. The audiobook is an absolute recommendation to anybody that wants to read that. Just like, it was so good. And the 2 books
that you don't have any interest or don't want to read?
I have no interest in
All
reading,
right.
although I have both at my home.
Okay.
But I have no, so I like from watching YouTube, I like I try to convince myself you're gonna read this because you have this book at home. It's not like I bought it. My husband got it as a present, but it's here, and it's Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Like, I'm not even intimidated by the size of it. I just have no interest. Like,
I
at
mean, it's
all.
good, but to read, there's a sequel too.
I
But
know.
then there's not a third one, and hasn't been one for a really long time. So
Yeah.
to start a series that there is a very good chance that it will not be finished, it's kind of
Yeah. So yeah. And another, I would say, classic is Dune by Frank Herbert. I know people like this. Like even Lala gave it 5 stars, which is like
Yeah.
what?
She might have ignored a lot of things, but
Yeah,
sure.
but yeah, I have just I didn't even watch the new movie. Like for the first time that I watched the old movie was like a couple months ago,
Mhm.
and
It's not for you. It's not
it
for
was
you.
just, yeah, it was interesting. That's enough said.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm never gonna read this. So yeah.
Okay, next question.
Comedies, a funny book.
Oh, right. So I originally I didn't really have an answer to that because I can list you a bunch of books by comedians.
Yeah.
But then Christina reminded me that we read something funny, which was My Lady Jane by three people who I always forget: Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodie Meadows. So this is basically an alternative history book with lots of humor. In which there are three sequels to there are three books in this series. Basically, the authors take a famous Jane from history and make her life a bit more interesting with a bunch of humor and stuff. In this one, there are ghosts, right? Right?
The first one.
No,
No,
Jane Green. One of them turns into a horse. One of her, like,
Yeah.
right. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's funny, and the audiobooks are really, really cool. So
There's
if you
even
get
the
a
breaking
chance,
of the fourth wall, so
Yeah,
that's also
yeah.
very fun.
all right. So that's my pick for this.
Yes, my pick for this is, well, it depends on who you ask, but for me it was a definite joy and fun to read, and that was Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This was actually recommended to me by Maya, I think, and I'm so glad because this is something I thoroughly enjoy. It's a book I would reread many times. Just, okay, it has a bit of a crass sense of humor,
Yeah.
but like I loved it. Like it just felt so right at the moment I was reading it, and it has one of my favorite characters ever in there. Clay is my, like, book husband, and I love him. And like basically, yeah, this was just really funny to read. So
Okay.
dramas, a character who is a drama king or queen.
All right, so for me, that is Frankenstein. I've read it recently and listened to the audio book version of that, and it might have been the performer, the narrator, it might have been the actual text, but dude, Victor Frankenstein, whenever he sees a dead body, he goes into this. Um, Basically, he's sick for 2 months with fever. Nobody knows if he's going to survive. He's all
Really?
like, oh my, yes. I mean, of course, the bodies of the person that he's close to, but still,
Okay.
he gets and this happens a couple of times in the book.
Oh.
Every time he's like, oh no, and then he's like gone. People are like, oh my god, is he going to live? It's like 2 months of that, and the monster itself is very dramatic, which in some way I can understand. Poor thing didn't really want to be born, created, and he's stuck alone in the world and nobody loves him because he's ugly and he's all lonely and stuff. And there's a part of the book when he tries to like befriend a family in the woods, and that did not go well, and that's why he got so angry and went to find Victor to make him a wife or whatnot, a partner in his life. Both of them very dramatic in my opinion, but yeah, that's my answer to this one.
Okay, I unfortunately don't have an answer to this. I just couldn't, for the sake of me, remember like anybody. So we're just gonna go to the next question. Animated, a book with cartoons on the cover.
All right, so I took that as comic book, and I took the one that I have in my house, and that is Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire, whatever his name is.
I think Lemire.
Lemire. So basically, we follow Gus. This is Gus. You also have a show on Netflix if you want to watch.
It's actually really good.
It is good.
I really like
we follow Gus, who is, as you can see, part boy, part animal, and he lives in a world where all the new children are being born as a mix of animal and human, and for that they are hunted because people want to figure out what's happening. There's also a plague happening and killing everybody else. So yeah, it has like 6 volumes, if that. So it's a really quick read, and it's really fun. So I picked that one.
So I also chose a comic. So I chose Amulet by Kazuki Buishi. This has 9 volumes, I think, and I absolutely adore it. This is one of my favorite middle grade comic books.
Okay.
It's just the story about these two, their brother and sister, and their mother gets kidnapped to like an alternative world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they go through like it's a, I think it's called portal fantasy, when they go through
Yes,
like a
yes.
portal and go somewhere more fantastical, and they find this world where the girl is actually some kind of, not like a savior, but like she has a destiny there. And we go through different like adventures through each volume with them. There's like a bunch of funny characters, like this mechanical
Is it
little
bunny?
rabbit, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's a bunny, and like it's, I would say again wholesome. Like it's really, really like cute and nice, and like it's really a middle grade, but you can enjoy it. Like if you just want something like, you know, oh, this is so cute, and like the illustrations are gorgeous, because there's like always like like this. You see, like you have like a whole page or 2 pages of just one big picture, and it just, some of them I would put on my walls, how beautiful they are. So yeah. Watched again a book or book series that you want to reread.
All right, so Alona Andrews is always on the reread pile. So this is book one in her Hidden Legacy series. This is Burn for Me, in which we follow Nevada Baylor, and she is the PI investigator in is this Atlanta? No, Kate is in Atlanta.
This is
This is-
Seattle.
Is it Seattle? Anyway, somewhere in the North Americas, and basically they live in a sort of post-apocalyptic world where there are not post-apocalyptic. This is a world after magic appears, and there are magical families like the mob, you know, and each family has their own thing. And basically, she gets kidnapped by Mad Rogan, who is her love interest in this one, and basically they're trying to prevent something from happening. Anyway, Ilona Andrews' Hidden Legacy book 6 is coming this year, right?
Ruby Fever, yes.
Yes, coming this year. So that's one of the series I want to. The another Ilona Andrews series I want to reread is the Kate Daniels series. This is book one in her series called Magic Bites. This is Kate Daniels. This is her love interest, Karan, and she has magic, also a PI, and she goes around solving cases and stuff. Another thing that I want to reread, which I've started, but then I have to reread again. So basically, this is Jim Butcher, and this is the book Furies of Calderon, and this is his fantasy series called Codex Alera, in which basically it's a mix of Pokemon and 13 Legion of the Rome. You know that like basically you have people with powers and like elemental powers, so you can control stuff in whatever, everywhere. So air, dirt, and whatever elements, water, and what's the fourth one? Fire, right? And we follow Tavi, who hasn't really, he's 14 and doesn't really have his powers. He's supposed to get them when he was younger, much younger. And yeah, so he's like worried what's happening. And then in the first book, we follow his uncle, and there's like a royal messenger girl who goes around and also is like a secret agent and stuff. And there's like a whole conspiracy against the king, emperor, sorry, since it's like Roman inspired and stuff. And it's really fun. It's Jim Butcher. If you enjoy his writing, you will enjoy this. It's not as contemporary as the Dresden Files, but still, I really enjoyed this series when I first read them, and I want to read them again. What's something you want to reread?
I mentioned that I would reread Kings of the Wild, but another thing I would reread is the Millennium Trilogy by Stieg Larsson, because that is one of my favorite, like, you know, crime mystery thrillery like series that I've read. And I have not read like the Lagerkrantz books after
I don't know what that is.
like after Larson died. Like there are 2 or 3 books that actually continue the series. So like I would like to eventually catch up. But like the main character in the Millennium Trilogy is just like one of the most badass chicks I've ever read about. So like I would really like to reread that.
Okay.
Documentaries, a non-fiction book you'd recommend to everyone.
Educated by Tara Westover. So basically, this is a non-fiction book by the author about her own life. So she grew up with survivalists So her family is survivalist, and they don't trust the government. They don't trust anybody. So she didn't go to school. She didn't get a doctor. She didn't like enjoy the modern, what do you call them, amenities of society. And it's basically her story of how she managed to enroll to college and finish college and get a job and sort of run away from her family. And oh my god, her poor brother and her poor brothers who basically injured themselves so much, and the father would not let them get to a doctor, and reading those parts was really difficult. But her struggle to educate herself was something that really spoke to me, and I really would recommend this and anybody, because it's really, really good. Another book that I would recommend to people is something I read this month actually. Is called Geek Feminist Revolution by Cameron Hurley, which is a collection of personal essays in which she talks about how she became a writer and how, you know, all the obstacles that she had with that. And she also talks about different situations that happen in geekdom or fandom or whatever, you know, with Gamergate and Sad Puppy, Angry Puppy on Hugo's, and how internet culture impacts women in the field, right? And how difficult it is to be a feminist in this field, and how she talks about one of her heroes and what happened after she died, and how she felt pressured that, you know, who is going to take up the mantle now to fight for, you know, women voices in this science fiction field, the speculative fiction field, and how she did it, and how she's, you know, talks about other authors who are doing the same. And it was really I would recommend the audiobook, because the narrator really conveyed the passion and
does she read it, or
no, somebody else reads it. Conveys the passion, and it's not depressing, but it's like at some points it's very inspiring. So it's really well conveyed in the audiobook, and that's why I enjoyed it a lot. And you have to read that. It's really good.
Just recommend it to me on Goodreads, so I can add it.
All right. Okay.
So I chose like I haven't read a lot of nonfiction lately. Like really, just I don't know. It just hasn't. I wasn't in the mood, but. I have 2 books here also. I have Bad Blood by John Carreyrou. So this is the story of Elizabeth Holmes, which I guess everybody knows about right now.
There's a TV show, The Dropout, now on Hulu, where Amanda Seyfried plays her. The trial is happening right now, I think. So everybody's talking about it too. And there's also going to be a movie with Jennifer Lawrence.
The book in general is very amazing. Like from an information aspect, where you get like this whole conspiracy like revealed to you through different like stories by different employees and everything, and then like just the aftermath, and just like getting to know like this person who was actually very charismatic and knew how to sell her product and herself and her company. And like it was just a very, very fascinating read to see like a glimpse into how Silicon Valley works, basically. And the other book is her recommendation again. So like listen to her recommendations, and that is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. So I have
I forgot that one. I had it on my list. I forgot to say it.
So basically I have never watched what
The Daily Show.
So I had no knowledge of Trevor Noah to this point. So like people who maybe like, you know, watched and like him would really enjoy this. I enjoyed it without even knowing who he was, because like this is his story while he was living in
South Africa.
South Africa, thank you. And it's just such a fascinating inside view, like an insight into how society worked when he was a child. Like there's a lot of issues actually tackled, like from, you know, like colorism, racism,
abuse, because his mother was abused a lot.
Like even education and everything. And they're like, the story is in itself a bit tragic, but there are some so like hilarious scenes, like, you know, the DJ dancing one. Just like there are some scenes, really laugh out loud scenes, but like it was just such an interesting piece. I would always recommend that one. That was really good. Action and Adventure, an action-packed book.
All right. So we both actually have the same answer for this, and that is Greatcoats by Sebastian de Castell, the whole series. This is book 1, Traitor's Blade. We basically follow a bunch of something like musketeers who go around the land and trying to uphold the king's law. Now, the problem is that people are not really keen on upholding the king's law, and there are many things that are happening like aside of that. Now, what sells this book, I mean, the action is over the top, so it's really a fun read. But the characters and the banter between them, so Falchio, Kest and Brasti and all the other characters around them just really create this very interesting and sometimes very tragic and but funny all the time collection of characters to follow throughout this whole adventure, and it's really, really good. All right, another one that she hit somewhere under that from that I wanted to recommend is The Lives of Locke Lamora. So as we said before, this is like an adult version of Six of Crows. This of course came before that. This was written before that. We follow a group of gentleman bastards, that's what they call them, a group of thieves that basically steal from the rich to not give to the poor, but they steal from the rich to give to themselves. And in the first one, we basically follow Locke Lamora as he gets into trouble because there are rival gangs and whatnot. And there's a big bad here that basically does such things. It's such a good, and it's a fast read. And there is literally a chapter of Locke going around the town from one banker to other banker and also to tailors to basically get a suit made. And it was so fascinating. I remember reading it. I just listened to this and I was so intrigued and so focused on it because it was so well done, so well written. So yeah, that is definitely one that I would recommend for adventure and stuff.
New releases, a book that just came out or will be coming out soon that you can't wait to read.
All right, so I have one by John Scalzi, which actually came out in March, right? So a couple of weeks ago. Basically, it's called The Kaiju Preservation Station, which basically we follow a dude who doesn't really know what to do with his life. So he applies to work for the Kaiju Preservation Station. Now, if you haven't watched Pacific Rim or anything or not in the whole thing, a kaiju is a big giant monster. And basically, I guess he does that. I didn't really want to get into it too much because you
want to be surprised.
I want to be surprised. The audiobook, of course, is read by Will Wheaton, who does all of his work, and I love him. And he's so good. Like, just to listen to, like, I think I listened to every John Scalzi book that I could, that I've read, because Will Wheaton does a fantastic job. So I'm so much looking forward to that, and I'm going to read it soon.
That's cool. Okay, so, like, I have Empty Smiles by Catherine Arden. This is the 4th book in the Small Spaces series, and it's coming apparently out in August of 2022. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to that because the 3rd book was my favorite one, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I know you were underwhelmed, but I think it was like the combination of water and water creatures, and I really like. I'm afraid of fucking. Oh, sorry, beep that of octopuses. Like literally, they would catch my leg and pull me down, and I would die.
All right,
so like that's a real fear for me. Although I love like being in the water, but like that's like just like I keep
only in the shallow end, right?
Yes, basically. So yeah, I think that's why it was like my favorite. But I'm really looking forward. Kind of, I think it's the conclusion of the series, and like it's a really great middle grade, like horror-ish.
Yes, apparently only middle grades I read are horror ones, and I'm like, what is this happening?
Yeah. So like, I'm really looking forward to that. And as you said, Ilona Andrus' Ruby Fever, which is like the 6th book in the
Hidden
Legacy series. So yeah.
Okay. The last question is to tag someone. So we're going to tag Rhea from the Bookfinch. We're going to tag Becca from Read Becca, and we're going to tag Rachel. I always forget her channel name. Something Stumbling Bear. Anyway, we will leave the links to their channels down below, so please do check them out. We'll let them know that they're tagged, and that is it. Right? Okay. We are done. Okay. Yes. If you've participated in this tag, please leave the link in the comments so we can go check it out. Check out the links in the description box.
Please like, share, subscribe, press the bell button if you want to get notifications whenever we post new videos.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.